In a week that already feels heavier than usual for Buffalo fans, the focus shifts straight toward this unpredictable Houston squad that has spent the entire season bouncing between promise and inconsistency. They sit with 5 wins and 5 losses, a record that tells the story of a team that can look dangerous one Sunday and completely different the next. When they win, it is usually because the pieces click in rhythm, the playmakers explode at the right time, and the defense plays with that physical edge their coach demands. When they lose, the gaps show up quickly, whether no Atake, OU na defensa, and it becomes clear that this roster is still ironing out its identity. And all of that reflects the personality of D'Amico Ryans, who has transformed himself from the hard-hitting linebacker of a decade atrocious into a sideline presence full of intensity, detail, and absolute belief in what he is trying to build. Ryans is now deep into his 3rd season at the helm, and even though the Texans opened the calendar looking flat, his group has clawed its way to Volta AO Equilibrio. They fought through rough stretches, corrected mistakes, and now enter this Proxima Rod feeling alive again. But the energy of this matchup revolves around one storyline above all, the quarterback position. Because as of now, every indication is that C.J. Stroud will miss another game while he recovers from a concussion, leaving the responsibility, once again, on Davis Mills. And Mills, for everything people say about him, has quietly delivered 2 straight wins filling in. He is not the flashiest quarterback, not the kind that changes the entire direction of a franchise, but he is that reserve who understands the playbook, keeps the structure intact, and tries to execute the offense exactly the way it is drawn up. Mills brings that tall, steady presence in the pocket, and when he gets into rhythm, he can spread the ball efficiently. His early years in the league were rough simply because he was surrounded by rebuilding rosters, but those experiences gave him plenty of starting reps. Now, inserted into a more structured team, he looks more composed, more willing to take what the defense gives him and avoid situations that spiral. His recent numbers show a quarterback trabalhando dentro de limite claro, someone who delivers short and intermediate throws with timing, but also takes the occasional deep shot when the play design gives him that one-on-one matchup outside. And Houston likes that about him. They have already secured him for next season, showing how much they value having a reliable insurance policy behind their young franchise quarterback. But even with that stability, Mills enters this duelo carregando desafios bem específicos. Ele precisa proteger a bola, precisa lura defesa de Buffalo com velocidade e, principalmente, precisa evitar aquele habito de travar no primeiro alvo. Because that is one of the biggest characteristics of his style. Mills loves hitting the primary read, almost como esse estivesse pilotando o ataque no modo automático. The moment the defense forces him to scan the field with May's profundidade, the windows close, the pressure arrives quicker, and the mistakes tend to show up. And that is exactly where Buffalo has a chance to complicate Atard Deli, forcing him to hold the ball longer and pushing the pocket toward him. The Texans pour him Neo sao apenas sobrio quarterback. They come with an offense that has been reshuffled for this season, led by a new coordinator trying to stitch together explosiveness with efficiency. And at the center of that plan stands Nico Collins, a wide receiver who has quietly turned himself into a matchup nightmare. He stretches the field Pauco's jogadores na liga, combining size, long strides, and a smooth ability to stack defensive backs. When Houston needs a spark, when they need a quick jolt of momentum, they often look toward him. And he rewards that trust by winning deep, winning on in-breaking routes, and creating big plays even in tight coverage. Opposite him, rookie Jaden Higgins is beginning to take off. Higgins brings this blend of size and body control that makes him dangerous at the catch point, and Houston has started increasing his opportunities. He is one of those young wideouts who grows visibly from week to week, and when a quarterback like Mills wants a safe, physical target, Higgins becomes an appealing option. Add in players like Xavier Hutchinson and Christian Kirk, who can rotate through different alignments, and suddenly the Texans' receiver room feels deeper than people expect. It is not built around household names, but is built around pieces that can hurt you if you sleep on them. At tight end, Dalton Schultz acts as the steadying force. He is not the type of player who floods the highlight reels, but he is reliable, physical when he needs to be, and sneaky efficient at finding soft spots in zone coverage. With Mills at quarterback, those plays underneath and over the middle become even more important because they offer timing throws that keep the chains moving. And behind Schultz, Cade Stover steps in as that blocking presence who helps anchor the run game and occasionally slips out into the flat. Speaking of the run game, Houston leans on a duo Vive phases diferentes de Carrera. Woody Marks, the rookie, has taken over much of the workload. He has that burst when he hits the edge, that ability to make himself available in the passing game, and the kind of energy a young back typically brings. Then comes Nick Chubb. Yes, that Nick Chubb, now operating more through veteran intelligence than explosiveness. He no longer has the same speed or punishing power that defined his prime, but he runs with patience, vision, and enough experience to steal those hidden yards on early downs. When the Texans try to control the pace, these two players usually define the rhythm. And all of this functions behind an offensive line that is still trying to find its identity. They have new faces, young prospects playing on testa ora, and veterans shifting between positions. The left side is built around a rookie tackle ainda en pleno desenvolvimento, a guard que Paris deslocado de Pasakeo ideal, and a center buscando estabilidad na sua primera temporada como titular. On the right side, Titus Howard brings familiarity and consistency, while Trent Brown offers size and experience, even K as vezes calm irregularidad. It is a group with effort, with flashes, but also with weaknesses you can attack if your pass rush is disciplined. That is where Buffalo has its opportunity. Mills gets the ball out quickly, but if the Bills can force him into that extra hitch, into that second or third look, everything begins to tilt their way. And against this line, especially with the unpredictability of their protection, manufacturing pressure becomes a must. Whether with movement up front, creative alignments, or timely blitzes, Buffalo has to shake Mills' rhythm, because once his timing breaks apart, the entire Texans' offense tends to lose its fluidity. And as if that were not enough, Houston still has that element of motion sprinkled into their attack, something that has caused issues for Buffalo ao longo de temporada. Not because Houston uses an overwhelming amount of motion, but because when they do, they tend to generate efficiency. They use it to shift leverage, to open cutback lanes, and to force defenses into hesitation. And if Buffalo reacts slowly, the run game can suddenly gain life. Right when you think the Texans' offense has shown everything it can show, you start noticing how often they lean on little wrinkles to steal advantages. They do not overwhelm you with volume, but the timing of their motions and shifts can be disruptive, especially for a defense that has struggled at moments to stay gap-sound against misdirection. And that is where Buffalo must tighten the screws, because Houston loves using pre-snap movement, not just to diagnose coverages, but to tilt defenders half a step out of alignment and open space for their backs. When that half step becomes a full step, Woody Marks can turn the corner, Nick Chubb can slip through a crease or a tight, and can release into the flat with room to work. It is subtle, but it is part of the fabric of how this offense tries to stay on schedule. But the real tension of this matchup sits on the shoulders of the Bills' defense. This is the kind of game where the unit needs to show it can dictate tempo, and that starts with eliminating the comfort throws. Mills relies heavily on rhythm. If his first throw of the game is clean, if he hits a quick out, a curl, or a slant without pressure closing in, he settles in. He becomes more patient and more confident. But if Buffalo smothers those early looks and forces him to hesitate, the whole operation stiffens. His feet get busier, the ball comes out late, and his accuracy begins to drift. So this becomes a test of how well Buffalo can clog the short and intermediate windows that Mills uses as his lifeline. And to do that, the Bills need to make tackling in space a priority. Houston thrives when their receivers turn 5-yard catches into chunk gains. Nico Collins, especially, can become a nightmare once he gets the ball in stride. His combination of long speed and body strength makes him extremely difficult to bring down with just one player. When he angles upfield, the pursuit needs to arrive fast and together. Higgins, despite being a rookie, also breaks tackles with that frame built for contested catches. And Jalen Naul might be the slipperiest of the younger group, turning short receptions into first downs with footwork and balance. If Buffalo does not limit yards after contact, Houston can keep the game moving and keep Mills in comfortable down-and-distance situations. Another layer Houston uses to help their quarterback is tempo variation. They will go from no-huddle spurts to long huddles designed to give Mills more time to process the next sequence. This is a trick they lean on when they feel a drive slipping away. Buffalo needs to be ready for both, staying alert for sudden snaps, but also avoiding the mental lull that sometimes follows those long pauses. When defenders lose focus, Houston sneaks in quick throws that move the chains and reset the rhythm. And then there's the chess match up front. The Texans' offensive line is an odd mix of potential and patchwork that can look competent one drive and shaky the next. Their rookie tackle on the left side has impressive raw tools, but he is still adapting to the pace and physicality of professional edge rushers. Patterson, lining up at guard, is someone defenses can challenge with power. Andrews, the center, is smart but not overly strong, and interior bull rushes have given him trouble. On the right, Howard settles things, but Brown can be a high-risk player depending on a matchup. Buffalo cannot allow this group to get comfortable. The best way to disrupt Mills is by squeezing the interior pocket and forcing him to drift, because his accuracy suffers noticeably when he is pushed off his spot. And when Buffalo brings heat, they need to bring it with purpose. Houston does not run many screens, and their checkdowns are often a beat slow. That means disguised blitzes can be especially effective, as long as they're timed to force the ball out before the routes fully develop. The Texans like to send deep shots to Collins at moments where the defense seems to be creeping forward. But if the pass rush arrives early, Mills cannot set his feet, and those throws float, giving defensive backs chances they do not normally get against a clean pocket. The Bills' secondary needs to anticipate those calculated home run swings, especially on early downs when Houston feels confident enough to take risks. Stopping the run is the foundation of all of this. Even though the Texans do not boast the most explosive rushing attack, they use the ground game as a way to stabilize their identity. Marks can slip through small openings, and Chubb uses his veteran vision to churn out 4 or 5 yards, even when space is limited. With motion added into the mix, these runs can get slippery fast. The Bills' linebackers need to trust their eyes and avoid getting pulled out of gaps by backfield illusions. And the defensive ends must set solid edges, preventing Marks from bouncing outside where he is most dangerous. If Buffalo can consistently put Houston in third and long situations, they control the script. It is not just about stopping plays, it is about setting the tone. When Buffalo brings that early physicality, offenses start hesitating. And hesitation is exactly what you want to force onto a backup quarterback. If Mills begins double-checking his progressions, if he holds the ball a fraction longer than the play design intends, the Bills gain the upper hand. That is when turnovers appear. That is when errant throws float into traffic. That is when the defense begins dictating the pace instead of reacting to it. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. Whispers are circulating through the NFL community, and the latest storm seems to be brewing in Buffalo. According to sources close to the team, head coach Sean McDermott has reportedly told one of the Bills' standout players that their future in Buffalo is no longer on the field under his watch. While details remain murky, the statement has ignited a wildfire of speculation among fans, pundits, and rival teams alike. The player in question, whose identity has not been fully confirmed in official channels, has been a consistent contributor to the Bills roster over the past seasons. Known for their skill, resilience, and occasional highlight reel moments, this athlete has been a central figure in Buffalo's recent campaigns. Yet, despite past accolades and apparent loyalty, McDermott's alleged remark, "You won't play for me anymore," has left the fanbase reeling and sparked endless debate on social media platforms. Insiders suggest that this decision might be more than just a matter of form or strategy. Some hint at internal friction between the coaching staff and the player, while others speculate that this could be a prelude to bigger roster changes as the team looks to reshape its identity. Naturally, these rumors have fueled a frenzy of trade talk. Across the league, teams are rumored to be quietly assessing the potential to pick up a player of this caliber, should the situation officially escalate. Buffalo's locker room dynamics are reportedly tense, as teammates and staff grapple with the implications of McDermott's stance. Analysts are already dissecting past games for signs of discord, from subtle benching patterns to cryptic interviews in the post-game locker room. Fans are equally divided. Some defend McDermott's authority and vision for the team, while others criticize the decision as impulsive or detrimental to Buffalo's competitive ambitions. The NFL rumor mill is, of course, in overdrive. Speculation ranges from a high-profile trade to an abrupt retirement, or perhaps even a dramatic reconciliation behind closed doors. Whatever the outcome, one thing is certain. The tension between McDermott and the Bills player has captured the attention of the entire league. Every conversation, every tweet, and every analysis seems to circle back to the same burning question. How will Buffalo navigate this unexpected twist, and what does it mean for the team's path forward? In a league where drama often fuels headlines as much as touchdowns, this story is shaping up to be one of the most talked-about sagas of the season. Fans, insiders, and rivals alike are holding their breath, waiting for the next move in a situation that could redefine the Bills' trajectory, or at the very least, dominate every rumor column for weeks to come. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.